Hello, welcome. Today I'm showing you a new speed build we're going to look at. I made a modern library, and as you can see, I built it in Newcrest. I think it really fits there. I also made my previous speed build, the modern house, in Newcrest, but it also fitted in Oasis Springs, and this library is kind of based on that house a bit, so this one also fits in Newcrest, Oasis Springs, whatever. You can actually put it anywhere, I think, but it has kind of modern vibe, and as you might have seen by the picture, it has palm trees next to it. But yeah, I mean, in every world you can have palm trees if you want to, actually, just like in real life. I mean, in real life you also have people who randomly put palm trees next to their house, even when they don't live in an area with a lot of palm trees, so it doesn't really matter. So as I told you, the style is really similar to my previous build, which you can see on my channel, on YouTube and on Twitch if it's still there. The walls are the same, the wall trims are the same, but there are also some differences you'll see, and also the windows will also be inspired by the previous build. So the idea is, if you really liked the previous house and you've downloaded it, you can actually use this library to put in the same area if you want to, or somewhere else, doesn't matter. But I quite like it when you have houses and builds that fit together, especially in Newcrest. You have these kind of areas. It's divided into areas just like every world, but the areas are really open, and there's a lot of space in between them, so you can make every area like one style. The roofing I changed in the last build. It was different from this one. I just kept it the normal one, but in this build I decided to use a more modern roof. I think it looks more modern because it's like a really modern city building and not a real house. I also decided to add water next to it. As you can see, I added 2 ponds, but in the end I'll make it one big pond surrounding the library, so the library will be kind of on an island in the water, in between the water. And then I'll add a lot of plants, and the plants will also be coming from inside the water. I also like to use those little stones on the floor, stone paint, because it also, if you want to make a modern build, I think it also looks quite modern. Then I had to decide which door I would use, because I didn't want to use a normal door. I wanted to use something that looked more like a city building, so I used this one. That one's from the spa pack. And then I added the same windows, but this is before I decided which color they would be. So first I just added all of them. These are the same windows, the Sulani windows that I used in the modern house. So yeah, then I had to think a bit, which color do I want to use for which part, and I decided to change everything because it needed to be very modern, and I realized that the black looked more modern than the brown parts, so it was really guessing a bit, trying it out a bit, and then it ended up like this. Then I used the same windows I used last time, and I kept the ones on the sides brown, and then I think I changed those ones to black, and I tried to match the black from the other black windows. So as you can see by now, it really looks like a quite modern building. I think it's because all of the black and the modern shapes, and when you use windows with horizontal stripes, I don't know, I think it has a modern effect most of the times. I don't know what I was doing now, probably just looking at it. Oh yes, and now I wanted to add another roof, but like something else I could use as a kind of terrace-like surface above the open space, because I wanted them to be able to enter that space. That's why I added these things, and then I added fences because it needed to be realistic. I added these get to work fences. They're actually just meant to use in some kind of work or whatever environment, something special, but I used those together with these how do you call them, yeah, I don't know, whatever. I used them together with this, so it had kind of modern effect. And then this was a bit difficult. I had to add kind of roof, open roof, so I had to use the walls and the sides to make this, because otherwise you're just placing it somewhere else. And I was lucky that this was symmetrical. I added the wall trims to the open roof to make it look bigger. And you can do that because it's a fence, and when you use a fence you can always add wall trims. That's why in the beginning I added a small stripe fence to the floor so I could add wall trims, because if you don't add anything like fence or walls, you can't add wall trims. Hi Nariuka, welcome. Thank you. So as I was saying, if you just don't add a new level, even if it's just by making fences, you can't add wall trims. So that's why I did that. Let's see what I did next. I also had to make sure these sides were okay, because there's when you add water too close to the wall, it makes kind of, how do you say, it makes kind of protruding piece, as if you have elevated the wall, but that's not what happened. Then I decided to add water here, but as I said, I'll connect all of the water to make it more like an island library. I guess you could also put it in Solani, but then you would have to agree that your Solani library looks quite modern and not really like the rest of the buildings in Solani, but you could, if you wanted to, you could make the whole of Solani look very modern. So then I added everything together. This is the same thing I was saying, and I wanted it to be symmetrical, so I added a bit more water to that. So then we had the library, we had the water surrounding it, and then we needed some plants, because now it looks a bit boring. Also, you can just see everything on the side. You can see the grass, and you can see how empty it is. So it needed to be decorated with a lot of plants. Thank you, Narayuka. It looks a lot better in the end though. Okay, that's a little roof decoration. I even forgot I put it there. Okay, then I started working with the plants, but then I realized, which you realize a lot of the times, they were too high and then they were too low. So then I pressed Alt so I could put them wherever I wanted. Although I'm saying wherever I wanted, but that's not really true, because you can't go completely to the side because you can't exit the lot you're building. And I also had to make sure that the plants didn't reach through the walls inside, because that would be a bit weird if you were in the library. And yeah, this is what I meant. You can't go outside a lot. So it would be a bit weird if you were in the library and the plants were reaching through the walls when you were inside. That's like a typical Sims building problem. So I had to take care of that as well. As you can see, I'm putting one by one, and then I realized I had to do that all the way. But I decided to not put them on the outside because there were gonna be enough trees there already. It's always a bit difficult doing this because the sides of the terrain aren't always that smooth when you use the terrain tool. For example, there you have like really a square, and then you have a curved line, but using these plants is handy because they cover it up, right? Otherwise you can see all the square lines, and when you use these plants you have a more realistic pond-like thing. Yes, I deleted that one because then it would look incomplete. Then I was thinking, should I put bushes at the front, but that was very difficult because you can't exit the lot, and also it didn't look that good. So I eventually decided to just not put anything there because there were going to be trees there already, like I said. Yeah, I tried something weird with fences there. Yes, so palm trees is what I wanted for sure, because the last house that this was based on also had palm trees, sorry, and it really made sense. Then I put, yes, I would say normal trees, but maybe that's a bit weird. Numerous trees, I'll say, next to it, which had a nice effect, I think. It didn't look weird together with the palm trees. And I added bushes underneath the trees because then it had a more realistic effect. Otherwise it was a bit weird with them coming out of the water. I think only the palm trees were like realistic enough to do that with. Although none of this is really realistic, but it's a nice library, that's what it's about. And it's The Sims, so I can do anything I want. Yeah, I made that one smaller because I wanted you to be able to see the library when I saved it. That's also sometimes a big problem. When you want to upload your build to the library, you have to make sure that there isn't a giant tree covering the view or something, because if something blocks the front, you can't even see the build and nobody's going to check it out because they can't even see what it is. In the back I didn't put that many plants because I didn't think it was needed. It had a kind of a chill vibe. Then I added some more, and then I think I added some trees behind the front trees, so it had like a bit of a background effect. Yeah, so I added a tree there and one on the other side, so it wouldn't be too open and empty when you looked at the front part. Then I still had to make sure that, as I said, the plants didn't reach through the walls because that's a bit unrealistic. Yes, you can dance to my music. It's chill hop music. Then I realized I had to change the lot type to library because I wasn't paying attention. But it doesn't really matter because up until now I did everything right. Then I needed a back door. And I just used the one that I used as front and back door in the modern house because it fit together with the windows. And then I used green chess tables, which I really liked because the green made it fit in with the rest of the plants. And then I checked if the chairs would match everywhere so I could put them upstairs too. So I put one chair upstairs to remind myself that I had to use that one. And that was it for the back part. I really didn't add anything else there because it had to be really cozy and chill, so I didn't want to make it very full. I think inside the library I added a lot, but I didn't add too much because I wanted it to look like a really modern building, and modern buildings are often not that packed with stuff. And I also wanted to give you some space to maybe decorate it even more by yourself. For example, I'll make a little office for the librarians, but I didn't put it, I didn't put a lot of clutter on their desks or something like that, because that's more something personal, and you might do that yourself if you have some kind of idea of who's working there. I don't know, you can really oh, thank you, Nayuka. I don't know if you can be a librarian in The Sims. I don't think so. That's actually quite a shame. I don't even know if there are any librarians walking around if you go to the library. But I still made a little space where they can work if they were here. My father is a librarian, so I immediately thought of that. Because it's just weird to skip that part. The library is not a place where you only go and read. There's also people working there. Otherwise it wouldn't make sense. Then, yeah, this is also something that fits with what I was saying. There needs to be like a reception where you can go and get your books, where you can return your books, or where you can get your books, put books on your cart. I don't know how you say that in English. But I did make the reception a bit boring at first. I'll change it later, you'll see. I'll change its shape, and in the end I'll even change its color. Thank you for watching, Nariyuka. Bye bye. Okay, and at first I also made some little space for them to work, but in the end I'll make it bigger, so you'll see. Let's see what I did next. I was just doing this, okay. I'm literally watching together with you, being curious about what I did next, because I have no idea. My memory's not that good. Oh yes, then I did the walls, and I decided to use 2 colors, which I do a lot, because that gives it more variation. I thought green matched it, because everything outside was green, and I also chose brown because of the brown windows, and that gives it a bit of a wooden vibe. But the little walls with little brown walls, that will change. They'll also be green, because they didn't look that good to me in brown. Then I first added lighting, because you need that to see if your colors match. Otherwise you see a more dark version of your color. And then I would also, don't know if I decided to do the floor now. I think so. Oh yes, I also had to add railings to the stairs. I use these ones because they also have a matching fence, and they look as if they're used in a modern building, no? I think so. Yes, I decided black for the floor because I don't know, that looked really modern. It was the same as outside. I don't know, that's the fact that the outside was also black. I think that's what really made me choose it. Yes, this is where I decided to change things up. I thought, no, this is too small. I added a bigger part, and that's when I realized my reception also looked a bit boring and it wasn't faced to the front door. So I changed it and made this version. And in the end, I also changed the color, but that's not now. You'll have to wait for that. So those two little blocks is where two people can work. I mean, the Sims will probably also go and sit there. So if you don't want them to, you could add a little fence, like a black line on the floor or something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's not that bad if they go sit there. Maybe you can also use it as like a place where Sims who want to be more who want to work more secluded can sit just behind the reception. It's not that bad. Now I was waiting, I don't know what for. What was I saying? Oh yeah, but as I said, there's a little line you can place on the floor, and you can make it black. You can use a color that's similar to the floor, just if you have got to work, that is, just to make a little line that Sims can't cross. But you can also just use it, right? Then this room will be for a toilet. I just decided to do one big toilet. I mean, how many people will enter this library really? I mean, if you enter this library just to go to the toilet, then you'll have to wait if there's someone on it already. That's your problem. I tried to make sure there was enough lighting because it's quite dark. Although they have a lot of sunlight, so that should be okay. And then I used these bookcases from the high school pack because I don't know if there are other bookcases like this, but it seemed as if they were the only ones that are meant to put in a library because they have a front part and a back part, if you know what I mean. They have books that you can take out from the front part, and then if you go to the back, you have a whole new part with more books. Then I put the carpet in here. then I realized that orange really fitted in too, because I saw it with the books. So I added some more orange. And then I experimented a little bit with the colors, but I decided eventually to make the chairs, all the chairs orange, and the office desks black. I first made them green, but then I changed them to black. And you also have two kinds of blacks, so I eventually chose the more gray one. So that's the lighter one and that's the gray one. Don't know if there's such a big difference between them, but I just chose that. And I'll also add some plants later, because I think that's also important. It makes the place look more cozy immediately if you add some plants. Then I had to make toilets, or the toilet, sorry. But problem with the toilet is that you have to find something that fits in with the rest of the building. So eventually I chose just entirely black. Fits a bit with the lamps also, and the same carpet. Then I had to add the computers, which I gave a green edge because green is like the main color here. Then I already put a plant upstairs, so I didn't forget that. And then I wanted to add a plant in inside. But at first I didn't really know where to put it. And then I was like, yeah, you can walk around, so maybe there needs to be a plant here, because otherwise it was quite empty there. And then I added this one to the wall. And I also wanted somewhere you could just sit and read, so I added an orange sofa. And that's when I decided to make the reception orange. I was doubting a bit at first because it was really bright, but then I thought it does fit into a very modern building, and otherwise it would have been a bit boring, so I kept it this way. And then I added some more plants. And then I wanted to add little chairs everywhere. One there, one there. And also at the beginning, because there wasn't really anything there. At First I wanted to make the toilets there, but it didn't work out because of the diagonal structure. I chose diagonal walls because that really makes it really modern, but as you might know, that's really a pain if you want to start building more walls and decorating it. Sorry. That's like when you make a house entirely diagonal. That can be so tough sometimes because there are a lot of things that are different. Okay, then I added this because I was like, why would our library only be somewhere you can work inside, right? Why wouldn't you be able to sit on a terrace reading or working? With one big table, one small table, and then I added another small table just because it looked a bit empty, so one more wouldn't be a problem. I first tried to add something else to fill it up, but then I realized a table would just fit better. Could have put a piece of art there or something, but that would also have been a bit weird because why would it be that big, right? Also, a library is not a museum. Then I made this part, which is the children's section. So I gave everything a brighter color. I chose brown because, as you know, one of our colors is brown. And then I added this bear. And what I really liked is when I added this toy house and I used black and brown, I realized it looked so cool. It almost looks too cool to be like a children's section, but okay. Because it looks so fashionable or something. And then I copied carpet and the desks, because imagine you're the parent and your child is there. You can still do something else if you want, although that might be a bit unrealistic because working with a child near can be difficult, probably. Or you can read to them. Then I was a bit in doubt whether I should make the floor more bright, but then I was like, no, this is what I've been doing the whole time and it looks really modern, so it's okay. Then I realized this column couldn't fit in anymore. It had disappeared somehow, sometime, as they do when you're building. But then I just fixed it by placing them like that. So then the building was finished, or almost finished. And this is the outside. That's entirely finished. What you could also do is add some more lighting outside, I don't know. And you have the little desks for the librarians, you have chests outside, you have a toilet, you have reading places, bookshelves, a small desk space, which you have upstairs too, together with the children's section. You can also add some things on the walls, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted to keep the brand new modern building look. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked it and see you next time.